The Rangers won a wild one in Pittsburgh last night with two plays that I don't know that I've ever seen in a Major League Baseball game before.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about the Rangers win against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Adolis Garcia show, Jacob deGrom looking absolutely outstanding for 5 out of his 6 innings, and unfortunately a couple more injuries that happened to the Rangers over the last couple of days. But the Rangers won after getting swept by the Kansas City Royals. I'll talk about the last game of that series a little bit later in the third segment. Wasn't able to get a show to you yesterday. I've been dealing with some anxiety a lot for the last couple months. It's been really bad in the last month. Been trying to fight through it, but yesterday was just a really tough day. So I just felt like I needed to give myself a day. And thankfully, the Rangers gave me a nice game to talk about last night, which would be more fun than talking about that loss where the Rangers got no hit for 6 or so innings against the freaking Kansas City Royals. But this one started off with a just truly bizarre play. I mean, extra bizarre. Josh Smith is back in the lineup, thankfully, after dealing with some left hamstring tightness this week. No IL trip was necessary, but he did not play in the first couple of games of that series against Kansas City. I'm actually not sure that he played in the final game of that series against Kansas City. No, he did not play at all in that midweek series, which was fine. The Rangers lost just fine without him, but in his first game back, reaches base with a timely knock in that first at-bat. And then Sam Haggerty playing left field and hitting second in this lineup because of an injury to White Langford. We'll talk about a little bit later. Who knows exactly how serious that is, but we'll get into that later, because I want to talk about this first inning and a play, or lack of a play, by Oneil Cruz in center field. Now, Sam Haggerty hits a ball, just a bloop single to center field. No doubt that it's a base knock. A pretty easy single. You'd have runners at first and second for Cory Seager, who I talked about on Thursday's show. It's been in a rough way. Had a good day. Seager did. Well, could have had a multi-extra base hit day if not for some great defense in the outfield. But this play in the outfield by Oneil Cruz was one of the worst plays I've ever seen an outfielder make. And you may be yelling at me about some Leo Taveras misplays, and they were never this bad. What should have been runners on first and second with no outs after that Sam Haggerty single. Oneil Cruz, who is a shortstop by trade, last year in the middle of the season, they decided to put Oneil Cruz not just in the outfield, but in center field. The 6'7", 240-pound, just absolute mammoth of a man who had never played the outfield, I don't think, in an actual game, at least in several years, not at the big league level until last year. They just shoved him in center field, and he hasn't looked comfortable out there. But this is a pretty darn routine play, just coming in on a ball that just skirts under his glove, and he just kind of watches it go past him. I mean, it's hit pretty hard, 104 miles an hour off the bat of Sam Haggerty, but it's a play that, every outfielder should make. I don't care if you're putting a catcher out there in the outfield. That's a ball you cannot just let get past you. And just the fact that he, just watches it out there, and his right fielder is closer to it. So even if he sprinted towards it, it wouldn't have made maybe that big of a difference. But Josh Smith, who's dealing with a bum hamstring, probably the last thing that he wanted to see. He just would rather just, jaunt, slowly at his own pace around the bases. But no, once that ball gets by him, Josh Smith has to get on his horse and score. Thankfully, he does so pretty easily. I don't think he re-aggravated anything by any means. Sam Haggerty ends up on third base, and he ends up scoring in the next at-bat on a wild pitch, because it was just a weird start to this game. And that was maybe the second wildest play the Pirates outfield made or didn't make in this game. The wilder one was at the top of the 7th inning, a leadoff, what was called the triple by Marcus Semien, who hit a ball 98.7 miles an hour, 410 feet off the bat. A good hit that would have been a homer in, I think, all 30 ballparks outside of Pittsburgh. Now, you look at the baseball savant data and it'll tell you, oh, it would be a home run in 28 of 30 ballparks. The only other one besides this one that it wouldn't be a homer is Coors Field. But what doesn't take into account is the elevation of Coors Field. So usually those balls that are hit about that hard at those launch angles will travel, 4, 5, 6, 10 feet further in Coors. And I think that probably would have resulted in it being a homer in Coors. But it drops out there in the deepest part of the ballpark, left center field, and both ONeal Cruz and the left fielder Alexander Canario are going for this ball. It kind of bounces up off of the wall and then off of Oneil Cruz in center field, who runs into the left fielder, who then catches the ball, and then as he's trying to throw, falls backwards onto his butt while Marcus Semien, who's leading off this inning, is running around the bases, and from his back, while he has fallen over, just tosses the ball to his center fielder in Oneil Cruz, who then fires it back in. It ends up being ruled a triple. Sure. I don't know. I've never seen this of a guy turning around to make a throw and then he just falls on his butt. Truly a one-of-a-kind defensive misplay, but credit to him for having the awareness, the state of mind to throw it to the guy who is upright and can make a good throw. Now I know Oneil Cruz has had some difficulties out there, but I get why the Pirates are throwing him out there in center field. He is one of the faster players in the league. He has got the best arm strength of, I think, almost, if it's not him, then it's Elly De La Cruz. Both of them Cruzes. I don't think they are of any relation, but both of them are just physical freaks out there and can make some truly incredible plays. I believe Oneil Cruz, I know he has the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era. I think he also has the hardest throw by an outfielder clocked in the StatCast era. The only throw that may have been harder is, well, not by an outfielder, but Elly De La Cruz. Both of them have just absolute bazooka arms, but it was definitely a defensive misplay out there, and there were some misadventures in their outfield, which was in contrast to the Rangers outfield. Some really, really great plays by Adolis Garcia, 3 different just diving snags and a couple of plays that he almost made, saving a perfect game through, I believe, at least 3, maybe in the 4th inning was when the first batter reached base for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was a ball that Adolis Garcia almost got to. He had a truly incredible game, and he has been on fire as of late. Adolis Garcia, a 3-hit game, 1 home run. It could have been 2 if he had gotten just a little bit more on a ball that was end up ruled a double. Nearly fan interference to get him a home run, but just a couple feet shy. A decent play by that kid who wasn't able to completely come down with. But over his last 15 games, Adolis Garcia has been absolutely on fire. In those last 15 games, he's hitting .339 with a .387 on base, slugging .554, 2 home runs and 10 ribbies in that span. You look at his last 7 games, he's still been on fire as well. 1 home run, 4 ribbies, 3 walks to 6 strikeouts, hitting .370 with an OPS of 1,063 in that span. The on base is over 430. The slug is at 630. He has been on fire as of late, and the Rangers have needed it. This was a big, big day for Adolis Garcia. He's been consistent this year with the glove and on the base pass. Honestly, one of my favorite things about Adolis Garcia, not just the flair for the dramatics, but for me, one of those just like underrated things that just kind of makes me smile every time I'm watching Adolis Garcia is when he's on first base or second base or wherever, and the pitcher throws over to try and pick him off, whenever he slides back, he's got one hand on the base and he's kind of doing that pose like in the Titanic, like the draw me like one of your French girls pose. He's just sitting there, laying there, one hand on his ear, one hand on the base, just one leg up, just as casual as can be. And it makes me smile and giggle every single time, just like watching Adolis Garcia this year. I mean, last year was disastrous for Adolis Garcia. Not only at the plate, but defensively, he regressed. He was one of the worst defenders in the league, literally a year after being a Gold Glove winner in right field. And this year, he's back and maybe even better than he's ever been defensively. He's a menace on the base pass. He looks much more athletic. He has had some real struggles at the bat, but when he is right, he is such an energetic player, such an important part of this offense. And defensively, he has been absolutely elite, really helping out what was a great start for 5 out of 6 innings from Jacob deGrom. We're going to talk about that and how dominant Jacob deGrom has been right after this. This show is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Satisfying crack of opening each shell, it's like snack meditation. So whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Shout out to the everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On Monday's show, we'll be back and talking about the final 2 games of this series. Hopefully some great starts from Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker to finish this out on a sweep, which the Rangers most desperately need. But the Rangers already got some really good pitching in this game, a classic Jacob deGrom game, and not just classic in looking absolutely dominant, but in the velocity as well. I mean, Jacob deGrom was bringing it velocity-wise in this one. He touched 100 twice. I think he may have done that once this season. It may have registered as 100 miles an hour. It was 99.6 or more. Because if it's more than 0.6, then the gun will round up and just say 100 miles an hour. But he had 2 pitches in this one that were 100 or more. He had, a third that nearly would have registered as 100 miles an hour. 99.5 was the third fastest pitch he threw in this one. The fastest was 100.3, and he also had a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. That is classic Jacob deGrom. Only 84 pitches needed in this one to go 6 innings, just 2 runs, both of them allowed with 2 outs in a wild 4th inning that just everything looked a little off for him in that one. It was something that these Pirates hitters were seeing. He changed a little bit with his glove to kind of, close up the gaps. He just completely sealed it up so that hitters couldn't see what his hand was doing in the glove, how he was gripping the ball, so he wouldn't give away what pitch he was throwing. But it seemed like they were seeing something in that 4th inning because 5 straight batters reached base in that 4th inning. And, Andrew McCutchen, if not for some pretty good defense by Corey Seager, some great positioning, that probably would have been a hit. It would have been, several straight. It would have been with just 2 outs. And then it was just a hit parade in that inning after dealing with I believe it was a perfect game to that point, heading into that 4th inning. And then, with 2 outs in the 4th inning, you thought, okay, maybe this is one of those games, because not only was he, mowing hitters down, he was being incredibly economical with his pitch count. I mean, just 8 pitches needed in that 1st inning. And I believe he was under 30 heading into the 4th inning. Then he got into a little bit of trouble. A single by Nick Gonzalez, a single by Spencer Horwitz, a single by Joey Bart, which drove in a run. Then he walked Jared Triolo. Then Adam Frazier drops in with a single to make it 3-2 Texas at that point. But then he gets Alexander Canario on 3 pitches. Pitch 1 called strike, 97.8 miles an hour. Then a 4-seam fastball at 97 up at the top of the zone. And then a called strike a couple inches off the plate, which was being consistently given as a strike. And when that's happening to right-handed hitters, an inch or 2 extra off the plate to right-handed hitters, if that's being called a strike, there's nothing you can do with Jacob deGrom when he is on, because his command, he will just sit right there, because there's nothing you can do with that pitch outside of pray that you can foul it off or hope that the umpire is not calling a big zone. Because once you give Jacob deGrom extra inches outside the strike zone, he's already incredible. I mean, 6 innings in this one, just 1 walk, which happened in that inning. I believe it was 3 or 4 of the 5 hits that he allowed in the entire game. Both the runs, 7 strikeouts, and no home runs given up. And this one, his ERA is at 2.24 on the season. And over his last 12 starts, which is since what was basically the worst start of his season, which was that start in Seattle against the Mariners, went 4 innings and allowed 3 runs, including a couple of home runs and 4 walks in 4 innings. And was the only start this year who hasn't gone at least 5. But since that start, those first 3 starts, which were kind of rough, he has gone 12 starts, 73 and 2/3 innings, a 1.71 ERA, just 5 homers, just 12 walks, and 74 strikeouts. He has gone 6 or more innings pitched in those starts. 8 of the 12 starts. 8 of the 12 starts, he has gone 6 or more innings. That is not what we were expecting. He's gone 7+ 3 out of those starts, including 8 innings of shutout ball against the Astros. He also went 7 innings of 2-run ball against the Yankees. He also went 7 innings against the Dodgers. 4 of those 12 starts. So a third of the starts, he's gone 7 or more innings. And he's just been so economical with his pitch count. I'm thinking right now, at least until the All-Star break, it seems like around 6 innings is what the Rangers are going to cap Jacob deGrom at, because, in that start against St. Louis, the Rangers, they got him some decent run support in that game at the start of this month on June 1st. He only threw 81 pitches to go 6 innings and allowed just 1 run. Against the Nationals, he went 7 innings of shutout ball, was nearly perfect, 8 strikeouts, just 3 base runners allowed, and only needed 81 pitches to go through 7 innings. Against the White Sox, he went 6 innings of 2-run ball, 82 pitches. Probably could have gone an extra inning had the Rangers, allowed him to do so. And same with this start against the Pirates, 84 pitches in 6 innings. I think until the All-Star break, the Rangers are going to just kind of tap the brakes on him. He hasn't had to miss any starts. This was on, 5 days rest, 5 days rest, because it was a little bit less than a week since his last start. But the Rangers seems like are just being extra careful with deGrom, which I am absolutely 110% in favor of. They have already gotten 15 starts from Jacob deGrom this year. 15 starts at 88 and a third innings. This is where I thought he'd be maybe by the All-Star game. We're still about a month away from the All-Star game. He hasn't had to miss a single start. He hasn't had a single time where he was, pulled after, 60, 70 pitches. Even that start against the Blue Jays, where it seemed like he was, dealing with something in that start. He got visited on the mound early on, still went 5 and a third innings, allowed just 2 runs, and he didn't strike out anybody, which was not very Jacob deGromian of him. But even with that start of 5 and a third innings with no strikeouts, he's still striking out basically a batter per 9 in the last 2 months. He's been a little bit off of that. In the month of May, he had a 2.08 ERA in 5 starts, 30 and a third innings, 29 strikeouts. So just a little bit shy of a strikeout per inning. And then in 4 starts so far in the month of June, he's gone 25 innings, which is over 6 innings per start. He's gone 6 innings and 2 earned runs or fewer in every one of these starts in June. He's got a 1.80 ERA, 25 innings, 25 Ks, just 5 earned runs, no homers, and 4 walks in this month of June. He's going to have 1 more start, I think, in June. We'll see exactly when that is. Probably that start of the series against the Mariners on the 27th. That would be my guess, unless they want to start him on a little bit shorter rest at the Orioles. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I don't necessarily think that would be the case if they're being this cautious of limiting him to under 90 pitches in his last, 5 starts. He hasn't thrown 90 pitches since that, 7 inning of 2-run ball against the Yankees back on May 21st, which was exactly a month ago today. The Rangers are being extra careful with him, but they are still getting a healthy Jacob deGrom, who's still, well, if not for Tarek Skubal just ascending to another ancestral plane with how he's done this year, Jacob deGrom would be a Cy Young favorite. He's still going to be a Cy Young finalist this year. He's probably not going to be the first Rangers starting pitcher to win the Cy Young, but if he keeps on doing this, I mean, even with the limited pitch count, that's the thing about Jacob deGrom is he's so good. He's so economical. He has cut back a little bit on the velocity for the most part. I mean, this one, he's averaged 98.3 miles per hour with his fastball, where on the season, he's averaged 97 miles an hour in years past, when he was kind of fully dialing it up and fully just going full tilt, and what has kind of led to some of those arm issues. He was sitting, 98 and a half, 99 miles an hour. He's not doing that as much anymore, just kind of dialing up to 99 when he needs to. But still, I mean, his slider is just untouchable. A 50% whiff rate on that. With the four-seam fastball, he's not getting as many whiffs, which is a little concerning, but he's getting a lot of called strikes. 27% called strike plus whiff rate on that four-seam fastball. On this one, a 50% whiff rate on the slider. Did have one swing and miss on four swings on the curveball. Didn't have any whiffs on the changeup, but was able to throw it in there, just four times. But he's just so good. He only needs those two pitches. And when he is humming, when he is right like this, even with the other injuries to this rotation, with Nathan Eovaldi, which we'll probably learn a little bit more about. I'll have more to talk to you about that on Monday, about when he is returning. Maybe we'll know more about Tyler Mahle. I probably doubt it, but I'm anticipating that Mahle's probably out through the All-Star break, hoping he would come back early on in that second half, but we don't really know. But with all those unknowns up in the air, even with these two rookies who have been very up and down, and another guy who I think might be joining this rotation until Eovaldi or Tyler Mahle get right. We'll talk about that in the third segment. But Jacob deGrom has been the anchor of this rotation. He has been everything that the Rangers expected. And watching him go every fifth or sometimes sixth game is just a true delight, because he is one of one. He is incredibly special, and I'm so freaking glad he is a member of the Texas Rangers. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about the rest of this game, the rest of this offense coming up with some big hits, some big moments, starting to look a little bit hotter, and a couple of injuries that have popped up over the last couple of days. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. The MLB season is also heating up, and every game brings you so many different opportunities to get in on the action. They've got all kinds of different odds right now. The Rangers are down there at the third best odds in their division to win the World Series. They're kind of middle of the pack. They are behind the San Diego Padres and San Francisco Giants. Rangers at plus 3,900, a little bit better than the Boston Red Sox, who are plus 4,000 to win the World Series this year. You look at their division odds right now, the Rangers plus 850 to win the AL West. Astros favorite at minus 320. Mariners down there at plus 410. If you're feeling very, very spicy about the not Oakland Athletics, they are plus 35,000 to win the AL West. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, this Rangers team had a decent offensive day, even though they were only going 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position on this day. I got to give a shout out to Cory Seager, who had a couple of incredibly hard hit balls, one of which ended up landing over the fence for his first home run since being activated off the IL. Heck, his first home run since that multi-homer day in Detroit. Seager also had a strikeout and a ground into a double play with a clutch situation there, but overall, a good day for Cory Seager, who I was a little bit, not entirely worried about, but just a little bit worried about. But his first at-bat of the day would have been a homer in one of 30 ballparks. I bet you can guess which ballpark has the shortest left field fence for that to go over. That would have been, of course, Houston, but 105.7 miles an hour off the bat, and using the opposite field. If not for a great defensive play by Alexander Canario in left field, that would have been a double. Maybe the Rangers would have scored an extra run in that inning. Alas, that's not how it worked out. But good to see Cory Seager putting some good wood on the bat and just getting the ball at the right launch angle. You look at some of Cory Seager's expected batting average and expected slugging percentage and all those numbers. He's hitting the ball hard. He's got a hard hit rate over 50%, which is in the top 10% of baseball. But the problem with Seager as of late, or really just mostly on the year, is he's either been hitting the ball hard right into the ground or popping it up and just has not gotten it at that right launch angle. So a couple of hits where he got the ball at that right launch angle, one of them ended up going over the fence for a home run. One of them ended up in a flyout. But if he keeps up those kinds of at-bats, that is going to be a very, very good sign for this offense that might need him a little bit more. He definitely needs him right now, and they cannot continue to just scrape by with this offense without Cory Seager being the best version, or just even the average version of Corey Seager, which he really hasn't been for the most part this year. The Rangers were down a bat early on in this game, or just for the entirety of this game. White Langford dealing with some back stiffness. Who knows exactly how much time he will end up missing, if he will end up missing this Saturday game, or if he will end up missing this whole series. Hoping that will not be the case, but White Langford was out in this one. The Rangers also lost another bat halfway through this game, with Jake Berger exiting after a really ugly strikeout. Just a tough day at the plate for Jake Berger, who had a single in that first inning and then struck out 3 times and swung and missed a whole bunch of fastballs way out of the zone. He was lifted for a pinch hitter, for actually a defensive substitution in the next half inning. You could see him holding his side. He was dealing with left side tightness. Hopefully that's not an extended oblique injury. That would be another bat on the Rangers IL. But Zeke Duran comes in, plays first base, has a couple of really good plays defensively at first base, including one ranging back to his left and hitting Robert Garcia. I believe that was the final play to end this game. Also comes in and has a pinch hit double, a really good sign for him. He has had a couple of really good games as of late. He is a very, very good hitter who has been awful for the most part this year. And if the Rangers can get him going, I mean, having the depth of Smith and Zeke Duran as your backup super utility guys was such a weapon. And if, only one of them is hitting, which is Smith, who came back in this one after dealing with some hamstring issues, then that makes it a little bit less effective. But a good day at the plate and on the base pass for Evan Carter, who was the recipient of 2 overturned plays that the Rangers challenged and successfully challenged. One of them was an infield single, which he ended up beating out. It was initially ruled as an out, but he ran his little happy butt all the way down the field, and it was a close call. A little surprised the Rangers got the call there, but also on a stolen base attempt. It was the 11th stolen base of his career. He is now 11 for 12. Officially in his major league career of attempts stealing bases. But if not, the only time that Evan Carter's been caught in his major league career was that balk miscall last week against Minnesota that was very obviously missed. He wasn't even really attempting to steal on the play. He was just so befuddled that the balk call was missed that he ended up getting picked off and nearly worked his way out of it in that pickle. But now 11 straight stolen bases to start his major league career, if you are talking about the spirit of the law with Evan Carter, at least on steal attempts. If you want to give him that, it counts as a picked off caught stealing, which I think is a little inaccurate because he wasn't actually stealing in that play. But Evan Carter also getting the call overturned on that stolen base, which was initially ruled as he was out. But a 1-hit day, a 1-walk day for Evan Carter, who worked a walk against a lefty. A great plate appearance against lefty who was living on the corners of the zone. Full count Carter working a full count walk. Actually, I think that might have been a 3-1 walk, but still to load the bases that ended up scoring a run. Josh Young, just a bloop RBI ground out to the pitcher in a very, very hard run out, ground out to that pitcher. Just a good overall offensive day. And one last guy I wanted to shout out having a good day in this one. I mean, a multi-hit day for Marcus Semien, a homer for Seager. Sam Haggerty reached base 3 times, including that single that turned into a triple and a couple of walks. But Jonah Heim at the bottom of this lineup, having a multi-hit day, also reached base on a walk. Some really, really good plate appearances by Jonah Heim. Had a double, his 5th of the season, off of Braxton Ashcraft in this one, and just looked a lot better. His timing on fastballs, he was actually right on those fastballs. He wasn't driving the second one. He just kind of blooped in there to center field for a single. But still, seeing the ball well, he has been in a really rough way for the last month and a half. And when he's right, Jonah Heim is a massive offensive weapon. It's hard to get a lot of offense out of catchers because the toll on their body to just catch is so exhausting at times that it's really tough to get consistent offense. That's why when you see guys who are playing the catcher, that's why Pudge Rodriguez, in my opinion, is the greatest catcher of all time, because of how great he was, not only defensively, but he caught so many freaking games. He caught them for so long. He was also incredibly athletic, much faster than any catcher has a right to be on the base pass. And his offense was consistent. He was just a good hitter so many seasons, season in and season out. You'll see these catchers that'll go on, seasons where they'll be okay offensively, and then they'll just completely drop off a cliff the next year. With Heim, he was an all-star catcher in 2023. Last year was the worst qualified hitter in baseball. This year he's had some moments, but overall still hasn't been that consistent with his bat. I'm excited to see what Malcolm Moore will do whenever he gets up to be a major league catcher, which I think he will be at some point. He is on an IL recovery stint. Last night he hit a home run in his rehab start, his fourth, I believe, rehab start in the Arizona Complex League. I imagine he'll be back up to the Hub City Spartanburgers at no point, but at some point very, very soon. But seeing Jonah Heim start to get hot is a very, very good thing for this Texas Rangers lineup, who needs every single bat they can get. But one thing I did want to talk about from that bullpen game loss that the Rangers finished off getting swept by the Kansas City Royals at home. I do not want to talk about Michael Wacha being great, but I do want to talk about the primary pitcher in that bullpen game, because while Sean Armstrong was the opener, did come in, walk a guy, and then give up a 2-run bomb after pitching literally the night before, Jacob Latz comes in there, and he looks absolutely incredible for the most part. He was tagged for 3 hits and 1 run, but overall, kind of hard to go 5 2/3 innings without striking out anybody. The only run he allowed was a homer on a pitch at his eyeballs from Jack Caglione, who is a very, very talented hitter. Has his first 2 home runs as a Major League Baseball player. One of them was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that I believe was right at his eye level that he just tagged to center field. It shows you what kind of a hitter he can be in his young Major League career. And then he hits an absolute bomb off of Robert Garcia on a hanging slider. But Jacob Latz looking very, very good, going 5 2/3 innings on 82 pitches in that one, 52 strikes, only walked just 1, allowed just 3 hits, one of which was that home run. Would have rather seen some more strikeouts from him, but just getting that kind of an outing in what was a bullpen game where you only had to use 3 other relievers besides your primary guy. Now, I would have rather the Rangers not thrown Robert Garcia, their closer, in a game where they were losing. Cole Winn extends his scoreless inning streak on the season. He goes an inning and a third, walks 2, allows a hit, but still has a 0 ERA on the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Latz gets some more starts with Nathan Eovaldi on the IL, or even when Nathan Eovaldi comes back. And if the Rangers want to possibly option either Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker to the minor leagues, we could see Jacob Latz step into this rotation, or just continue his spot as a kind of, Swiss Army knife in this Rangers bullpen. Just a really, really impressive outing for Jacob Latz in a game where the Rangers really needed, and he did his part. The Rangers offense, unfortunately, in that game did not, but they did do their part in this game Friday night. Hopefully they can continue to do their parts in the Saturday and Sunday games. I could be talking to you on Monday, talking about a sweep against this not very good Pittsburgh Pirates team. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.